Did we just experience a karmic collapse, or if hell is actually a real place, did we as humanity actually experience it collapsing into each other? On November 8th, we had this enormous blue light surge that went through the first mesa in Arizona, really enhanced, supercharged, and radiated blue light throughout the whole world. And then suddenly everything changed. So, my name is Nancy Rebecca. I am a psychic clairvoyant, and I had blue light beings come to visit me from as they describe as the dog star, and they've been giving me information since 2017. And so when I witnessed some things on that day that I couldn't explain, so I'm going to try to explain a little bit more now. And just like many of you, I really felt like I lost touch with my intuition, my psychic ability. Suddenly the sight that I had, or maybe the feelings I had, or that capacity to hear my own spirit, or have that really strong knowing connection to my own higher state of wisdom, all that just seemed to disappear for about 4 or 5 days after that first big, huge surge of blue light that is expanding consciousness on Earth. And so that's come back, and my abilities, not sure that they're any better than they were before, not sure that they're even clearer than they are before, but we have 2 more surges that are coming up, and so we'll just kind of have to see after all of that is over what's happened. But let me try to explain to the best of my ability what I witnessed. So on November 8th, it was 3 o'clock here in Pacific time. Now, in actuality, I really feel like in those higher dimensions of time and space, I really don't think that time really matters. But to us here at the human level, yep, we do appreciate time, and we like to set our watch to what's going to happen, and we all want to tune in together at the same time. But if you didn't tune into that time, don't worry about it. You're going to be able to, that united consciousness coming together really unites our experience. All right, so it had been told, and I've talked about this in other videos, I've written blogs about it, that we had a surge in 2019, we had another blue light surge in 2021, and that this would be the third and final huge surge in 2023, but this particular one would come in 3 parts. That the kind of the ultimate outcome of these surges over the past, whatever, 6 or 7 years, would be uplifting humanity, enhancing our state of consciousness, and unifying us as a kind of a global community. But ultimately, this particular blue, it's like this kind of lapis blue or cobalt blue. It's the blue beings of light have always said that it eliminates illusion, dissolves the illusions in the world. What has been hidden in the world will be revealed. We've seen a lot of things that we were not conscious of, or most of us weren't conscious of, have been revealed. Truth and clarity would come through, and justice would be served. So that's the same message that has never changed this whole time. But let me just kind of leap right into this first surge. So I was really shown probably months before that first surge, when it would come through, it would be kind of like I could see the world, but inside the world was this really encrusted black, kind of dark, it looked like a black bowling ball to me. And then they kind of showed me that when the surge would come through, that black ball would get a crack in it, and it would start to crack, it would crumble, it would fall apart. And then the second surge that we're going to have here on November 18th would then wash away some of the debris. And then the November 25th, it would wash away another layer, kind of bringing it like sand qualities that would wash away the last little bit. So at the human level, we really think about these concepts of transformation or metamorphosis. Let's kind of talk about those. So how I interpret transformation is that the qualities that we have are enhanced. That you might be insecure and you go through a transformational process where you start to feel a little bit more confident. But it's not that insecurity is going to go away all of a sudden, or that confident, you're just going to wake up and suddenly you're confident. Or how about depression? Like you may notice a lightening of depression, but it still may take some time for that to totally lift. Sometimes it's years. So when we're talking about transformation, that's kind of how I interpret it. All right, so metamorphosis, though, this is more about like dramatic shifts, dramatic changes. And so this is what is kind of happening with these blue light surges. So a metamorphosis, to me, I always kind of call it the Book of Nancy, is where like the larvae would be in the cocoon and it would completely liquefy. So it's like all of its kind of atoms and cells and neurons and all those little quantum bits that come together would kind of liquefy, separate, and then they'd come back together again. And then suddenly there's this beautiful butterfly that's going to emerge out of the cocoon. Now that is metamorphosis. That's dramatic change, dramatic, rapid change. And I've been hearing from a lot of you that you might not be noticing much now, but you do feel like something big happened. Some of you haven't really noticed anything, and yet you might say, but it feels like something's different or should be different. So even though I describe metamorphosis, it does not mean that suddenly you're going to sprout, butterfly wings and be happy, joy. At least that's not been my experience in 30 years working with over 20,000 people and helping them transform their vibrational frequency. You still wake up the next day with the same problems. You just look at them differently. You see them differently. All right, let me get back to karmic collapse. Now, what I'm going to tell you is in observing this, and I was guiding some people through this at the time from our community, that collapse happened in a mere 8 minutes. 8 minutes, according to time and space here on Earth. So remember, in those higher dimensions, it doesn't take time and space to shift things, but we have to be ready on Earth. So that's what the blue light star being said. This surge couldn't have taken place. These 3 surges couldn't have taken place unless humanity is ready for it. So even if you know people, you don't think they're very spiritual, that's not the perspective that the star beings have in relationship to who's ready and who's not. There is a strong belief that everyone on this earth is ready to have the illusions be dissolved, what has been hidden within each of us to be revealed. And there's really this month in November really talking about Saturn and Mars and Scorpio and Mars. Like these are really intense times of revealing secrets. So when I was observing this, I observed the light coming down through the first mesa, saw a lot of movement in that first mesa, almost like this kind of flexing, expanding, contracting like this. The blue light's coming through, surge down to the earth, surges through this black inner core of the earth. And then suddenly it was just like boom, like it just dropped and it just disappeared in 8 minutes. And this radiance filled the entire earth. So in my mind, I didn't say it out loud, but in my mind, I said, did hell just collapse? Did karma just collapse? What did I just see just happened? I knew it was big, but that concept of karma and that concept of hell, like where did that knowingness come from for me in that instant? Like, why did I even think that out loud? And I thought, that's not possible. Is that possible? And so this is where I was. So I've got a little more insight, but I'm going to try to explain it a little bit. And you're going to add your wisdom and insight. And you're going to say, oh, it's all phooey, or, well, this is curious. I had some similar things. All right, so let's talk about hell for just a moment. So there are definitely those cultures that do believe that hell exists. There are also cultures that believe that hell does not exist. Now, there are cultures that believe you create your reality, you create your illusions to live within, and there are some cultures that believe, nope, we don't create illusions, we don't do any of this stuff, we don't go to heaven or hell. We are just in a human body. We're tripping over ourselves through life the best that we can. So I'm going to just say, just kind of throw this out here as some concepts. So in the concepts of hell, it's like if you turn the dial up, we can think of dimensions like the third dimension, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the 12th, the 35th. You've got high ascended masters, that exist at these higher levels. Who knows what level the blue star beings of celestial light, what kind of frequency level they are at. It's very, very high. However, we don't talk much about those lower levels, the second dimension, the first dimension, zero dimension, or -1, 2, 3, 4, like going all the way down into the dark basement. And so if you sit with that concept of potential reality, then it's like maybe someone needed to learn some lessons at that first level of that kind of heavier, denser vibrational frequency. Maybe it's the second it goes down a little further, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier as you go down. And from what I understand from the Book of Nancy is that if someone's really at that bottom level of those denser levels of dimensions, that they kind of have to work their way up, and they can be quite excited when they finally get to be in a human body again. I mean, I'm often told by Spirit, it's quite a gift for us to be given a human body. And so they kind of have to earn their way back to the top. So if we kind of flip that a little bit, we talk about karma. If you believe in karmic cycles, if you believe that you are part of a karmic cycle, because remember, there are some people that don't believe in karmic cycles, and maybe they're not a part of that. So what does karma mean in a nutshell? I've never studied it. I don't know what it is. I just kind of hear from Spirit or through the grapevine. You hear some of your friends saying, well, they've just made some karma for themselves, right? So if you do something negative to somebody, they say negative karma is going to come back to you. You do something positive, positive karma is going to come back to you. Now, the way Spirit's described it to me, they call it kind of crystal dollars. So I'm talking to you, you feel helped by it. I'm going to get some crystal dollars of some positive energy in my crystal dollar bank account. So I kind of joke around about that. A positive bank account, or you're in the red and you don't have any karmic dollars in your crystal dollars in your bank account. All right, so now let's kind of leap again. So those are just the concepts, right? So then now what happens if that concept of hell just completely collapsed, or that karmic cycle just completely collapsed? It's like the first thought I had was, so this would be like a get out of jail free card at that spiritual level. This would mean that the playing field spiritually is leveled, like we're all at the same level. And when you talk about some religious cultures where they say you ask to be forgiven, you ask for your sins to be forgiven, and they're forgiven instantly, and you get to start with a fresh slate. So is this what happened on November 8th? Or excuse me, November 4th? I don't know. I'm in a human body. You're in a human body. We are never going to understand those higher concepts about what's happening in those higher frequencies and dimensions. We are not that divine source. We're not going to totally understand what's happening, but we're going to do the best that we can. So as I sat with this and I thought, all right, so if other countries, if it all collapsed, or all the other countries starting at this kind of level of the level playing field, and the wars that are going on, is that going to change the outcome? Are things going to shift suddenly because, the past wars, the past atrocities, the fighting that's gone on in some parts of the world for thousands of years, does that mean that just shifted in the world? Does that mean that we no longer have generations that are needing to pick that up and work out that karmic cycle of generational trauma? I don't know. I don't know what that means. All I know is it's great to start that conversation. I'm really curious, what you all felt or what you think about this potential possibility, or what you even imagine. What's that going to look like? I mean, we've got this consciousness expanding, enlightenment, awakening, where suddenly we're at a higher frequency and we have available to us this way of looking at the world in ways we've never been able to look at before. The star beings talk about, that genetic DNA where it's suddenly being no longer lying dormant because the frequency is high enough that now we can have access to understanding it more. So yeah, I'm hoping that understanding comes for me, and I'm hoping for you that understanding comes for you. But right now, we're just sitting here as humans doing the best that we can. Now, let me just translate this at the human body, because I'm a nurse. My specialty is really understanding the human energy field and how outside forces impact our human energy field. So right now that has collapsed, what I'm being shown is you might be feeling miserable right now. You might be exhausted, or you might be having insomnia, but on the inside of you, you too have had some levels that have just kind of collapsed. So what I'm being shown is just these bright lights of blue, like everyone is in this beautiful expanded state walking around. And the way I described it to someone a few days ago, it's like I have this new expanded aura, but my aura used to be like this and I haven't grown up into it. For us to move where we need to move, we need to have emotional maturity. We need to have mental maturity. We need to grow up. That's the bottom line. And our spirit needs to be able to express those very mature states of spiritual perspective so that our immature emotions and mind don't block that information from coming in. So there's been a big collapse, but we haven't expanded into that state. Hey, it could take weeks, days, months. Maybe for some of us, it could take years, because we're moving into this new way of being and nobody has the instruction manual. At least, I don't know. I think all of us have like one page. And in unity consciousness, that's where we come together and it's like, okay, so what does your page say is happening? And okay, Brenda out there, what does your page say we're happening? And all right, Mark, what does your page say, is happening? And that's why I love it with YouTube, and being able to share like this, that we can come together and we can talk in the comments and we can share what is our sense about what's going on. Because I have to tell you, I've been reading your comments and I'm so elated that there's so many. You all are really awakened, and it's really exciting for us to finally be sharing together. We're not just relying on one person. to be the spiritual expert anymore. I love it, love it, love it. So I am going to talk about other things later, but if you're not feeling good, it's because you're in a major detox moment. That energy is detoxing out. So stay hydrated, try to get some sleep. I just read somebody slept 16 hours solid. I'm hearing that a lot. Some people are still having phases of insomnia as those higher states of consciousness are coming in. But just know that when you look up in the river of life, there's a lot of people going with the flow, just like you. You are not alone. There's a lot of us that don't understand what's happening. There's a lot of us that think we understand what's happening. There are some who say they're the experts about what's happening, and there's others that say it's all kind of crazy. But you only have to answer to you. That's the bottom line. And the star beings promise that this blue light is going to help us uplift to those higher states of being really good human beings. And whether that's true or not, who knows? But I'm going to hang my hat on that one because I want to, and I tend to be optimistic by nature. So that's the blue light, that's the karma, that's the hell, that's the corruption, those are the secrets that have been hidden. And we are about ready to head into another big surge that's happening on November 18th. And I'll be talking about that more. So I really invite you all to go to my website, intuitivemind.org, sign up for my mailing list because I am going to be sending out to my mailing list a guided meditation for November 18th. And that's where too I write to my mailing list about some of those kind of behind the scenes things that I'm picking up. So look forward to seeing you there as well. All right, take care, everyone. Continue to take care of those bodies. They're working super, super hard as they become more light bodies. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.